The quietest person in the room is often doing the most work. They are not just listening to the conversation, they are tracking the pause before someone answers, the glance across the table, the tiny change in someone's tone. From the outside, it can look like they are distant, distracted, or too serious. Inside, their mind is building a map of everything that is not being said. That kind of thinking does not always begin as curiosity. Sometimes it begins in a home where small changes meant something was wrong. A door closing harder than usual became information. A voice becoming too calm could change the whole evening. A room shifting before anyone explained why taught the mind to listen. There is a name for the mind that keeps recruiting extra thought to stay prepared. Some psychologists might describe part of this pattern as cognitive over-recruitment. It means the brain uses more mental energy than the moment seems to require. Not because it enjoys being complicated, because somewhere along the way, simple moments stopped feeling simple. You replay conversations long after they end, not just the words, but the temperature around the words. You remember the sentence someone avoided, the expression they covered too quickly, the laugh that sounded half a second late. Other people call this overthinking. But your mind is not only replaying, it is searching for the hidden rule it may have missed. Growing up, missing one small signal may have cost you peace, affection, or safety. So now your brain reviews social moments like evidence. It turns a casual comment into a case file. It keeps asking where the danger entered the room. You notice mood shifts before anyone names them. Someone says they are fine, and your body does not believe them. Their mouth agrees, but their shoulders do not. Their words are smooth, but the room feels different after they speak. This is one of the habits people misread as suspiciousness or negativity. They think you are looking for problems. You are actually registering mismatches. The brain learned that people do not always tell the truth before they change, so it watches the body and the silence. It watches the emotional weather before the storm becomes visible. You prepare for outcomes that never happen. Before sending a message, you imagine how it could be misunderstood. Before walking into a gathering, you think through who might be there, what mood they might be in, and how to leave quietly. You are not trying to be dramatic. You are trying to avoid being surprised. This is where deep thinking can become predictive processing on overdrive. The mind builds possible futures so quickly that the present becomes crowded. People see hesitation. They do not see the invisible rehearsals behind it. They do not see how many versions of the room you have already survived in your head. You struggle to answer simple questions simply. Someone asks what you think, and your mind opens 10 doors at once. There is the honest answer, the safe answer, the answer that will not offend, and the answer that protects the other person's mood. By the time you speak, you may sound unsure, but the uncertainty is not emptiness. It is too much information arriving at once. This is why deep thinkers often get mislabeled as slow, intense, or indecisive. Your mind is not blank. It is crowded with consequences. You have learned that words do not only express thoughts, they can change the air in a room. You analyze peaceful moments instead of resting inside them. A quiet afternoon can feel suspicious. A kind message can make you wonder what changed. A calm relationship can feel unfamiliar enough that your brain starts searching for the catch. This is one of the saddest hidden habits of deep thinkers. The mind that protects you can also interrupt the very safety it was waiting for. You sit in a peaceful room and still notice every tiny shift. Not because peace is fake, because your nervous system has not learned how to stop scanning when nothing is wrong. The room did not make you too sensitive. It trained your attention until silence became a language. You may have been told you think too much. You may have been told you ruin good things by analyzing them. But a mind does not become this detailed for no reason. It becomes this detailed when vagueness was unsafe, when adults were unpredictable, when love depended on reading what no one would say. This is not a character flaw. It is mental architecture built under pressure. You remember tiny details people forget telling you. Someone mentions a place they once felt embarrassed, and months later, you avoid bringing it up in public. Someone says they hate a certain tone, and you adjust without announcing it. You carry little pieces of people like fragile objects in your pocket. To others, this can look intense, but to you, it feels automatic. Hyperempathy often hides inside this habit. Your mind stores emotional information because it once helped you keep connection from breaking. The gift is tenderness with a sharp edge. You can make people feel deeply understood, but you can also become exhausted by remembering everyone's invisible instructions. You feel lonely in conversations that stay on the surface. People talk about plans, gossip, weather, schedules, and your face knows how to participate. But some part of you is waiting for the real sentence underneath. You can sense when someone is performing normalcy. You can hear the ache under a joke. You may leave ordinary conversations feeling more alone than before. Not because you dislike people, because your mind keeps reaching for depth in rooms that reward smoothness. This is the cost of pattern recognition. Once you have learned to hear subtext, plain speech can start to feel like a locked door. You edit yourself before the room asks you to. Deep thinkers often learn to adjust before anyone complains. You soften your opinion. You ask questions instead of taking up space. You make jokes when the room tightens. You become agreeable, not because you lack depth, but because your depth has learned manners. This is the habit most people praise without understanding. They call you mature, calm, considerate, easy. They do not see the cost of being so low maintenance that even your needs become quiet. A brilliant mind can become a small room if survival keeps asking it to fold itself smaller. The hidden cost is not that you think deeply. It is that you rarely get to stop. Over time, the same intelligence that reads a room can turn inward and start reading you as the threat. It examines your tone, your timing, your face, the exact moment another person seemed to withdraw. Cognitive over-recruitment does not only solve problems. Sometimes it invents a courtroom inside your head and appoints you as the defendant. No one else may be accusing you. Still, you gather evidence. Still, you prepare an apology for a crime no one named. Your mind can turn a text message into a puzzle, a silence into a warning, and kindness into a question. That ability may have protected you when you were small. It may still help you notice what others miss. But protection becomes heavy when it follows you into places where no one is trying to hurt you. This is recognition, not a diagnosis. Only a qualified professional can help you sort a clinical pattern from a familiar one. Still, something can be familiar without being imaginary. Maybe the goal is not to become less deep. Maybe it is to notice when depth has become duty. There may be moments when a pause is only a pause. A quiet room may not be hiding a storm. Someone's kindness may not require an investigation. And when you find yourself sitting quietly, noticing every tiny shift in the room, you do not have to hate that part of you. It was trying to keep you safe before you knew what safety was. But it may not have to work every second anymore. Some rooms can simply be entered. Some silences can simply be left alone. Some thoughts can pass through without being hired as guards.